Yes, we're back. It is Friday night. It's just after 9 o'clock. And as I always say, you know what that means? It must be time for that Friday feeling on the Boys in the Bus. And I get a funny feeling that everybody has got a very good Friday feeling tonight because, we're still basking in the glory of Celtic's victory over Feyenoord last night in the Europa League. Keeps our hopes alive in that competition. We might have some European football in the second half of the season. Fingers crossed. But we have to turn our attention to Scottish Premiership. It's back on the agenda this weekend. A rather big game against Hibs awaits us through the capital, through Easter Road, not the happiest of hunting grounds in recent years. So we'll be here to talk about that tonight and, of course, more new manager chat because it looks pretty inevitable now that it will be Wilfred Nancy who will be the new manager. But Friday night means one thing on this channel. It means if I'm on the screen, then, of course, the wise man has to be Canada's favourite Tim. How are you doing tonight, Liam?
Mate, brilliant. Saw the game yesterday, we'll talk about it, but I just left the place walking in sunshine. It was good. Nice to, start your afternoon that, and then we went to a wedding later that night. It was brilliant. So it was like, yesterday was a brilliant day. It just feels good. That's the one thing I don't think the board knows how to calculate. With all their sums and their maths and their accountable, account background, everything except accountability. You think they would factor in the value of like the emotional part of the support and what winning in Europe means, especially away and having a team that can go and compete. So, you look at that erases so many things, not just with Celtic, but in your life and all that. And the factor, so I was walking in sunshine, even though it was pissing rain.
I was going to say, it wasn't sunshine in Rotterdam. I think the commentator described it as Scottish weather, very dreek last night in Rotterdam, but Celtic certainly weren't dreek on the park. A thoroughly deserved victory for them. So we'll talk more about that. Continuing on for last night, obviously being Terry did the post-match, but we'll get Liam's thoughts as well on the major instance. And as I say, we'll have some new manager chat as well, because it's now looking pretty much on the cards. We know who it's going to be, because Martin Neal has all but confirmed that this Sunday will be his last game in this little interim spell. And of course, we'll talk about Martin O'Neill and what he's done in the last month, because it cannot go unnoticed to how he's managed to just pull something from this team right now. When we looked absolutely dead on our arse at times this season, he's managed to find something there in them. So there was an extra gear in that Honda Civic after all, and he's managed to get into that one. And as I say, the Hibs game coming up as well, massive game. We cannot overlook that one. So we'll be getting chatting about that. Before we do all that, of course, you know what to do, folks. Do all that good stuff. Help out the channel massively. Help us keep growing the audience and whatnot. Say we've passed 1,000 subscribers. 1,500 next. As Terry said last night, 1,888. Could that be the next milestone? The 1880, the magical 1888, or the magical 1967? Who will be that subscriber when we get there? But obviously to get there, we have to get more subscribers. So if you discover us in the next couple of days, whatever, off the back of this show, off the back of any of our shows, and you like what we do, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification to be reminded when we're on the road. Obviously, you can hit the like button to give us a bit more traction in the old algorithms on YouTube. People who like Celtic and like podcast-related content are more likely to see us with the more interactions we get on the channel. And of course, Friday night is a very interactive one. So who is in on the chat tonight? We have got Anton Rogan's left foot, Stephen Murdoch is here, Sligo Boy is here, Jim C is in, Ian McIntosh. Who else? Teresa Lyle is also here. David Scullion is in as well. Jim Dolan. Let's see. Smell the Glove is here too. Who else have we got? Patrick McLaughlin's here. Jimmy Six Pouches is here as well. 420 somewhere is here. So a lot of the familiar names that drop in on a Friday night. Take your usual seats, please. Also, dislike as well that StreamYard has changed it now, so it shows their YouTube handles rather than the actual name. So at times it comes up at the YouTube handle rather than their actual display name. So at times it's really hard to figure out who some of them are. But a lot of familiar names have popped in tonight. And what else can you do? If you want to become a Boys in the Bus member, you can do so for $1.99 a month. Again, I keep saying it, we will never put anything on Patreon or behind any sort of paywall. It just helps us just to keep things, moving along nicely. The wheels on the bus going round and round. And if you like audio, if you want to listen to the podcast in your earphones while you're out and about doing stuff, walking the dog, out for some exercise or whatever, at the gym, then you can catch our audio of all of our shows on SoundCloud, and the link to that is in the description below. And yes, with all that said and done, Ellie and Liz get chatting on all things Celtic right now. So it said there at the top of the show, victory last night at Feyenoord. A surprising victory. I think many fans didn't have high hopes last night. They were stunned, I think would be the safe thing to say, with the European campaign so far. It kind of felt inevitable that this was going to be a damp squib after losing to Braga at home. I said on here that we now need to get a result away from home somewhere. Looking at the fixtures that were left, the one that obviously stood out was Midtjylland. But they they studied us as well. They brushed us aside, no problem. They're obviously up around the top end of the table. But yeah, then going into this final game after losing to Midtjylland and whatnot, it's like no chance. But Celtic done. Martin O'Neill, second time he's won in the Netherlands with Celtic, and a 3-1 victory as well. He did it in 2001 against Ajax. He's done it again against Feyenoord. So what was your initial thoughts then, Liam, with the performance overall?
Well, first of all, I went in with low expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying earlier, it's sort of sucked some of the life out of the support, just with all the crazy shit going on in the background and that. So, yeah, it was a first time in a long time, and I wasn't the only one that was talking about it, when we were watching the game. It's just like you went in there just like you've been told to manage your expectations this much that they've not really done to do that, and I think a lot of people were just going, oh, well, the big one is let's make sure we're all right for Hibernian. That's the big one that we want because we don't think so. When they showed up and they started playing, the first goal, I was scunnered as soon as that happened. You just felt it's like, aye, okay, this is the reasons why they don't let us have nice things. It's they've managed to just wide open and all. I'm still wondering if anybody can tell me where. I thought Donovan played okay, but where was he in that goal? Did he get tripped up the park or something? Because I couldn't even find him in any of the replays of where was he, because that guy was wide open. And I was expecting, when you're a young guy trying to make your way, you're busting your balls to get back there, So I was just wondering why he wasn't in any of the frames I'd seen in the replays. Maybe somebody was there because had a different point of view.
Yeah, but, I think he was missing. The ball breaks that boy, and it's Donovan's side. Yeah, he was nowhere.
And then, Celtic started playing well. Celtic started getting the ball. We stopped moving it back as much, and we were moving forward. We were beating them in everything in the air in the middle. Skills and Trusty. I would say when the ball's coming towards them, they're fantastic in the air. Something happens when the balls are coming in for the side. They don't seem to have that same dominance, But when you're back and there's a team trying to play a long ball or that, they're great for picking them up in the air. And so you could see that. And then, I thought Yang looked like he was on there trying to prove something. And I don't know. And then the more you watch it, the more you start just feeling this is a Martin O'Neill effect, isn't it? What we're seeing here is just like prime time O'Neill. This is the real box office. No the charlatan, no the fraud.
And frauders.
Frauders. No. This is the real deal when you actually have an ideology around football. When you understand motivation and techniques and what makes men men, and what builds a dressing room and what builds character. And you see it coming from this wily old wizard. And it just gives everybody hope, that, like when we needed help, we didn't go look for something new. We went back to something old. And knowing the way the boards go back, but something that came through, ancient wisdom never gets old. And I don't know, Neil seems to be walking about with that ancient wisdom where it transcends football, like Jock Stein, Bill Shankly and all that. He just seems to be tapping into that. And I loved it. And, what a beautiful encore that was for us old enough to appreciate the O'Neill Neils and what he was like before. And then to see him just do this, and it was just like, I mean, that should be grace, That's just the images. Just make a reel of that, put it to the song Grace. Let that be this year's Christmas commercial, because that's what it was like.
I thought it was a phenomenal result. And it was also good as well because Martin O'Neill, obviously, when he was here first time around, outside of the run to Seville, his away record in Europe, especially the Champions League, left a lot to be desired. Same with Strachan. When Strachan took over, we had this weird knack of winning the home games and having a terrible record away. So it was good to see him get that victory in what's going to be his last European game. But a guy who's obviously really stood up in this interim Martin O'Neill period, and hopefully he keeps it going into the new regime under, as we expect it with Wilfred Nancy, is Callum McGregor, the captain, a guy who's been under a lot of fire this season. But I say his performance last night on top of his goal last week against St Mirren, the absolute thunder bastard he unleashed against Rangers as well. Callum McGregor looks like he's got a bit of swagger back. It's like, he's always been there, but for whatever reason, he was just playing with he was clamped under Brendan Rodgers. I don't know what happened, like compared to a year ago. I keep going back to this, but just literally this time last year, when you go back to the first half of last season, McGregor was pinging in goals from all sorts of distances. He had like 7 or something goals by November, and they were all from outside the box. But then this season, it was like him and the whole midfield, in fairness, were just shot shy. It opens up from outside the area, and they were still like another pass to the side, another pass. But whatever reason, the brakes have been taken off Callum McGregor in the last few weeks. To say, hopefully, whatever Martin O'Neill has drilled into him continues. But how vital has McGregor been for us so far, Liam, in the last month?
I'd said this year he was playing off speed again. The record playing at rank speed just didn't look like it was working for him. You feel bad for him sometimes. He overextends himself and that, but I don't think that style of football suit him. I mean, the guy was a striker. He started off as a striker, and we brought him back into turn a striker into a defensive midfielder where you're playing in a negative sort of build-up thing. Yeah, it probably didn't. It doesn't suit him. I'd wish we could get McGregor to play in that Jack Grealish role.
Yeah, he's like a wide midfielder, wide attacker. I don't think Grealish usually plays out there these days, but I think his age coming into consideration now because he's not at the pace anymore. I think you see McGregor, he is slowing down quite a bit, and we don't want to get to a Scott Brown type of stage, Liam, where we're playing him and his legs are clearly going. We need to manage him carefully. But see, last night, just in the last month, he's still playing in kind of the same areas of park, but just little things that he's doing different. He just the ability to just shoot from distance. It just felt like for some reason him and the rest of the team were just being told, no, don't do that. Say what he did last week against St Mirren, that could be such a vital goal. It could be like a Tony Ralston goal in Angie's first season. Deep in stoppage time, we've been absolutely dreadful on the night, and he just stepped up and took the initiative.
Well, maybe that was it. I mean, so a lot of time when you're in a data-driven team, guys that take the initiative get negatively punished because they take more of the risk. So maybe your stats, data points, or whatever it is that a lot of these people value players on tends to get skewed differently when you're the guy that goes to stand out and do that one bit of magic, just step outside the lines. And that was what I always thought with Rodgers. It was all about control, control, control. And okay, you're controlling it, and everybody in the stands can see it. Yeah, we're controlling it, but that's it. That's never been the Glasgow Celtic way. It's never been about controlling the game. It's winning the game, attacking the game. So I think so. There might be a mindset of that now that's starting to evolve, within this team as well. We were taking away the conditioning now, and then like Callum, okay, here's what happens when you start thinking this different way, and hopefully Nancy's got a similar type strategy as well. I guess with O'Neill as well. You got to look at Maloney, and and Fotheringham, as the two other new faces in there. Maloney is interesting because he's that perfect bridge between McGregor and O'Neill. He's got that. I think he might have been around when McGregor came into the team.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been far off it because Maloney came back in Lennon's first term and he was there for a couple of seasons, probably as McGregor was just in the youth team because McGregor broke in Ronnie Dyler's first season. Maloney was there until Lennon's second season, I want to say. So there was a wee bit, probably when he was still in the youth team, there was probably some crossover there. But in terms of playing on the same park as each other, no, but they're roughly the same era. As one guy's career was ending, another guy's was starting.
And Phil, where's Fotheringham on that list? Like, who did he play with?
Fotheringham, I think, was a youth player during Martin O'Neill's time and going into Gordon Strachan's time. I'm just trying to rack my brain when I used to play Champ Manager on my PC and the names of the reserve players at the time: Simon Lynch, Colin Healy, Ross Wallace. All these guys that you see. I'm sure Mark Fotheringham was, I'm going to say, O'Neill's first term or Strachan early term.
Yeah, I was in Celtic minded back in those days, and I remember Mark Fotheringham was a name that kept coming up as I think he's local. I think he's from Glasgow.
Yeah, his accent's leaves a lot to be desired though if he's from Glasgow. He's got some accent these days, but whenever he's been around the world managing, coaching, whatever. But yeah, I believe he's Glasgow. Yeah.
So, but he's like Italian Glaswegian or something. Because you're right, that's a mad accent. I mean, I'm one to talk, but yeah, I couldn't get past that. I was like, what the? Anyway, he might be the one as well. Building McGregor up. You could get some of that going as well, where you get somebody that's just maybe like, come on, I remember when you used to be Gallus, right? I remember you used to score goals for fun, and and like just, I don't know, maybe that's sort of like the non-over coaching. It's like that's what you need right now at Celtic, just to uncoach them a bit.
Apparently, Fotheringham through Dundee. Smell the Gloves just confirmed that Fozzie's from Dundee. So there you go. So he's got that, and then I say he's got something else going on with his accent from whatever else he's been coaching or whatever. But yeah, it's quite a hybrid. But you're talking about a bit of the gallousness there. When McGregor scored that goal against Rangers and obviously ran over to the Celtic fans at Hampden, there was a wee moment where the camera picked it up and he just like the chest puffed out, sort of like the swagger when he was looking at the Celtic fans like, you've been writing me off. I've still got it. It was like a message to them because he'll be very much aware of what people like us. I've definitely been critical of this season. Most fans have, because again, now we're starting to get a picture of what the problem most likely was. Now that Brendan's departed, as much as I did thoroughly love Brendan Rodgers as a manager, it clearly wasn't working this season. Something had happened. And he just completely, just lost his way with the dressing room, whatever. Because, yeah, same set of players. Martin O'Neill comes in, takes over. And then I say in a month, the results he's had to get is like, we've been held together by sticky tape at times, and we've had to grind it out, especially against St Mirren last week. But like the performance against Rangers in the Cup semi-final, I think that's probably, last night or the Rangers semi-final in his short term is probably the highlights. But given the year-long run that we'd had with games against Rangers where we were getting bullied off the ball, we just didn't seem to be able to compete. And, this is a team that were miles behind us in second place, but they were just getting the better of us. Guys like Barry Ferguson managing them. Obviously, we couldn't beat Russell Martin's Rangers in the first meeting this season, a drab goalless draw. And then, yeah, that Cup semi-final, it was like, a Celtic team of a year, 2 years ago had turned up finally. There was a wee bit of aggression about them. The way we were closing them down, getting on top of them, not giving them any space. We were giving away a lot of silly free kicks as a result, but at least we were hassling them instead of being placid, which we were seeming to be doing under Brendan, where we were just standing off instead of just go and just hassle them. If they fall to the ground and get themselves a wee free kick, it stops them from breaking up the park or whatever. But yeah, that performance obviously was phenomenal that day, and say last night speaks for itself. So in terms of Martin O'Neill's wee short term, what has been your standout moments, Liam?
Standout moment was at the very end of the first game where, who did we play first? Dundee?
The first game he had was Falkirk. at
Falkirk.
home.
Yeah,
Falkirk.
Falkirk. So the very end of that game, 80th minute, there was a big rammy at one end of the park, and everybody came in and got involved. Trusty was in there. Everybody was running in, and it was like, and it looked like. I said it at that point. It says that looked like an O'Neill team. I've not seen that in about 5 or 6 years, where everybody gets runs in there, and you could tell. And it might be in the stress, and it might be just all the shit going on, but yeah, you could see at that point. All right, this is him. This is him building a team. A team, no a squad, no a team. Guys that are going to fight for each other and feel that they're all part of something. They're feeling the same way. No, not one guy's playing for a move. It's like no, everybody's win, win, win. And I think that's what we saw. I think we saw that. We've seen that hopefully developing, and now hopefully the new guy coming in has that same mindset. It says, right, okay, how's he going to apply that to that? Because he's got momentum there. I mean, brilliant. O'Neill's leaving them with momentum.
Yeah.
It's like a new signing. Don't tell the board that though.
No, definitely not. No, it's for the players and the way that I say the same set of players from Brendan. There's been no transfer window to freshen it up. Martin O'Neill's had to just take what he's been given. Add to that, even more injuries have landed on top of him as well because it's just been all luck this season. But obviously with the new manager, obviously looking to be announced in the next few days, it seems a lot of these players will be looking at it as a clean slate and a chance. And some of the performances, like looking at last night, just in recent weeks, Arnie Engels. Last night, Jing, that was his best performance so far in the Celtic shirt. Because obviously a lot of people were raving about it. I thought it was a pretty solid performance. I wouldn't say it was his best one yet because I don't want to be too quickly, boy, but I feel like we've been here before with Engels in the last year and a bit, where he'll have like a good game and then everyone's like, right, okay, that's us. We're going to see Arnie Engels consistently every week, dominating games, great set pieces, really taking control in the midfield, and then he kind of goes into his shell again for a few games and whatnot. But I thought last night he was good, and I really hope a guy like him can really push on under the new manager.
So yeah, I don't know where it was at the first goal.
Where was anybody the first goal, mate?
Came flying down his side as well, right? I don't know. I mean, was he in any of the big assists or scoring moments?
Just a general play in the middle of the park. Just again, a bit of getting stuck in.
That's expected. Honestly, I didn't. I mean, that's what I got off Iowata when he played with us.
Yeah.
You got that for him. In fact, I think we got maybe a wee bit more if you're just looking for a comparison. But yeah, I'm still no like when you have a big game, we'll know when you have a big game. We know when Tierney has a big game. Yeah. We know McGregor has a big game. Big games got to be better than just doing all the basics. I mean, £11 million shouldn't just be getting you the basic midfield, job done sort of thing. Well, he didn't, he looked lively and he didn't make any mistakes and that. Yeah, I don't know. I think the frustration is just because you're not seeing an incremental improvement from game to game. It's this roller coaster you're getting with him. And it's like, okay, so when are we going to see a build? Because if that can't be the finished article of what he was last night. I'm sure Odin Holm could come in and put in the same shift.
Yeah, I always want to think that there is that next step for Engels, but so far, we've been down this road with him for the last 18 months where he will put in a decent performance, but then the next 4 or 5 games he's quiet. So it's a case of, right, okay, you've put in a good shift last night against Feyenoord. Now it's a case of you've got to keep it going. Now this season, there's been a couple of moments where Nygren came into the team right away and Engels was sat on the bench. Then I think the first game Engels did play this season against Falkirk in the League Cup, he had a good game that night. He actually played really, really well. But then after that, any other time he did play, or for the next few games he did appear, it was a bit back in his shell. So again, it's just a case of, right, you have to carry that momentum. Hopefully, Wilfred Nancy has that way to get the best out of him, to motivate him. Because one of the things I've said from day one about Engels is what is his actual best role, because the midfield, just football in general, isn't always black and white nowadays about defending, midfield and attack, especially in midfield. There's a lot of different roles now within a midfielder. You've got your box-to-box midfielders, defensive midfielders, attacking ones, so a wide midfielder. So it's like, what is Engle's best role? I don't think the player necessarily knows right now. Brendan Rodgers certainly didn't know, but hopefully we can see, him become a real linchpin. And I say this is all for the new manager. All these players have got a clean slate. Another one as well. Are we going to get our Yang Gang membership cards back out of the bin? Liam, is Yang back? Is this it? After, because again, he's another one where he can have like one good game and then just disappear for like multiple games. But last night, Yang was tremendous. Compared to some of the output from the other wingers like Tenecti when he came on. Obviously, he had that great moment where he was put in by Engels with that pass and he's through, but he just didn't have the confidence to shoot on his left side, wanted to cut in on his right, ended up taking too many touches and the chance was gone. But Yang last night, I say did we get the Yang Gang cards back out, Liam, and proclaim that we're part of that membership, or is this just another flash in the pan moment for him?
No, I think the girlfriend's back.
maybe that is it. Aye.
Play like a man looking to show something. I don't know. They must see something in the training. All right, so O'Neill, I was surprised O'Neill started him. I really was. That is not who I thought was going to in Tenecki. That's man management as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's man management as well. That's like now. We bit of fire up Tenecki's ass. I mean, he came in and, we went Messiah mode right away. Bigged him up big time because it was refreshing to see a guy take on his man. Now, he's starting to play teams the second time. This is like Obada and the boy last year. That many? Who's the boy that went to Como?
Nicholas Kuhn.
Kuhn, right. Yeah, so it's, I think defenders, for getting these guys that have got one trick, they're getting found out really quickly in Scottish football how to cover against that one trick. And so
like Ian's comment there about Tenecti's no left foot won't be good enough because I said like there a minute ago he was put in brilliantly if he just wanted to shoot across the goalie with his left foot, even if the keeper was to tip it out for a corner or something, or maybe the keeper doesn't. That keeper had a shocker last night. You never know what he would have done. He could have had a shot with his left. The keeper might have fumbled it right into the path of on-running Dyson Maeda or something like that and puts it in the net. But again, he just wasn't confident enough to even try and cut in on his right, and by that point he'd lost all momentum in his run.
Aye. Don't know. I thought the goals were good last night. I thought Dyson is both his assists were the same, where he got himself in deep and ended up standing watching it from an uninterfering offside position. Yeah. Which is interesting because he knew his part where his job was to stretch him, get him open, and pelt the ball back in, and then he just sat there reading the paper, watching the balls going. Very, very casual last night.
I said that to Terry last night. He haunted that goalkeeper. So the final goalkeeper had a bit of a shocker, but Dyson Maeda made his life hell the way he closed him down on the second goal. And obviously, he gets the little touch sliding in, fouls to the tatty and he scores. And the third goal, that ball comes in from Donovan. The keeper's just looking to just pick it up, no problem. And out of nowhere, out of his peripheral vision, Dyson Maeda just ghosts in, casually controls it and just lays it up for Benjamin Deegran. And I said it last night, I actually picked the wrong game. I'd said that he'd done something similar in a game against Motherwell this season. It wasn't. It was Livingston where Deegran very nearly missed it, where he pinged one in from close range off the crossbar. And it was like, if you get close there. It was against Motherwell, what happened was the goalkeeper played it a ball right to Benjamin Deegran. He took a touch and put it in the net. But against Livingston, it was we beat them 3-0 at Celtic Park, and this one came to Deegran, and he's running onto it from close range, and he absolutely wellies it, and it pings in off the post or the upper post crossbar. And last night, it comes to him, the keeper's sort of flailing around in the ground. Me and my dad shout at the TV, shoot! But he takes a touch to steady himself. The defenders are closing him down. But he manages to find the net anyway, but I hit the crossbar on the way in. Obviously, we heart in the mouth moment. It's like, oof, as Terry said last night, about 2 inches away from missing it. But the celebrations for that was something that Terry homed in on and again showed the camaraderie in this dressing room, which seemed to be non-existent under the previous manager. But we've seen a few games now, and you highlighted like the way they were all jumping into a bit of scrap during the Falkirk game, is showing that bit of camaraderie because it seemed to be missing. The celebrations when we beat Rangers, especially when Callum Osmond scored, the way the players all gathered around him, it just felt like just something was lifted off their shoulders finally. And yeah, last night when Negrin scores and he runs over him, Trusty, I think Hattati was with them, but then Luke McCown comes running off the bench to jump up the pylon and whatnot. It was just just like, okay, this team, for the idea that it was a bit of a broken dressing room and whatnot, I think they've dispelled that idea, Liam.
Yeah, and I think, he's got to look at O'Neill of what he's been able to do with his charisma and that of, bringing in the right guys. And, it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to Nancy coming in now. Like, I've went through the sort of like Ange Postecoglou syndrome where, we've got this on tape too, where, I prime myself just to sort of, okay, so what can I learn about this guy and what did he say about his football style? And I know just win-loss record, what are people saying about him leaving? So you've been seeing a lot of stuff on US soccer fan sites and guys that I've talked to that know MLS really well. And they're all saying that, he's an interesting guy. And that's what I want. I want somebody that's interesting, that's got good new ideas but also has, that intensity enough that he wants to win and understand what winning's about and how we want to win. We're not just getting this guy where we're booking an ideology. We want to see that, okay, what happens when you put it under the Celtic lens? Because that will magnify, all your insecurities or your confidence and self-belief. That's a massive lens that he's going to be under now. And let's see if he's ready for that. And if he's the right guy, just like Ange Postecoglou or Brendan Rodgers and stuff like that, we lift their profile as well. And I know he was coming for the EPL. Can't be bothered with the EPL. I'm looking for as a manager, So it's interesting to see what he's going to be because he's getting a lot of responses from people that have thought he's done a really innovative type job over here in MLS.
Yeah. It'd be interesting well because the dynamic of he's only managed in Montreal and Columbus Crew. So the MLS, he's not experienced, and this is quite incredible because he is 48 years old, and as a manager, he has not experienced yet the dynamic of the team that finishes top of the table wins the league, because in the MLS they don't do that. They have the playoff system. So it's a case of obviously now he's coming to a league where, quite simply, the team that has the most points at the end of the season is the champion, and it's like, so losing is not an option. As Yuki Evans always says, a draw is a disaster for Celtic or Rangers. It really is in this city. It is a disaster. So he's coming into that now. In terms of like my feelings,
he's also got the opportunity to come in and immediately establish himself as a winner.
I know he's only a couple of weeks away from a cup final. Yep.
What better opportunity could you come in, get in the team? You've got was it Roma would be the first game?
No, the run of fixtures will be Dundee at home, Hearts at home, Roma at home, and then St Mirren at Hampden in the cup final. That'll be his first 4 games. If what we're hearing, the way it's all been planned out, he'll be announced basically after the Hibs game for Monday morning, essentially. He'll be starting, and Wednesday night against Dundee will be his first game.
And the 5th game, we should be singing his name. If it all goes well and goes to plan.
I see.
but what more setup do you want to sort of? So the hard part is like proving yourself to people, and usually because it's over the amount of time it takes to prove yourself to somebody. This guy's got a chance to come in and hit the ground running, and if he's a really buzz out type of guy, manager that really wants to be the creme de la creme, top of the heap. Yeah, you got four better games. Even the layout of the games are important because it builds that fourth game being like, okay, we'll know if you're a winner or no. And yeah, I mean that's a lot of expectations to put on a guy, but it's the Celtics for. That's why we don't just take anybody, you know.
They have to see something good in him.
And by the way, and if he doesn't do that, that would tell me everything I need to know. I wouldn't need to know any more games than that. I'm looking at opportunity, putting yourself in the short window. Everybody says, just give me a chance, give me a chance. I can do that. Okay, here's your chance. So,
yeah. No, definitely is.
And I'm not taking any board consideration into this. This isn't a perfect world in my head.
Well, the thing is, my feeling on it is after Ange Postecoglou, I'm not going to so I was very much one of the fans when Ange was announced. I was like, who? And was a bit downtrodden about it because again I'm like, I've not heard of this guy, and that doesn't necessarily equate to they're going to be a bad manager. So I've got a very open mind about it. I've sat here on this podcast for the last month crowing about it's going to be Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney at the end of the season with Sean Maloney taking over full time. That was just in my mind, this is where it's going to go. And I kept challenging the board and said, prove me wrong in this. I don't want to be right on this, Celtic. I don't want it to be long-term Sean Maloney because that's what I think would have happened. So they've went out and it looks like they're appointing another manager. So in my mind, I can't have it both ways. So I have to be like, okay, fair enough. They've went out. They've made an appointment full time. They haven't just decided to run with the interim at the end of the season with the vision that will be Sean Maloney. So my mentality is I'm not super excited about Wilfred Nancy, but I'm not going to write it off neither. Because again, Ange Postecoglou taught me that in 2021, where it's like, no, don't write it off yet. So yeah, he's got a big first 4 games in, if this is the case, because that cup final, as you say, that'll be the quickest any Celtic manager will have a chance to lift a trophy. Only 4 games in, 2 weeks into the job. Yeah, walking right into a cup final. And the games that he's got in the run-up, I mean, let's don't forget, in amongst that, one of the league games is Hearts, which with the way things are going right now, that's effectively becoming a cup final, because every game at the moment is must win for us to keep the pressure on them. And that's huge. Dundee at home is, we don't want to write it off too much. Dundee could just come and stodge up. And that, I said last night to Terry, is one of my biggest worries about Nancy, if I have got any reservations. It's just every write-up I hear is about the attacking football and, he gets all these rave reviews. But in the MLS, there is no relegation zone, so teams don't get relegated. So a lot of teams will play quite an open attacking style. That works all good. But here, a team coming to Celtic Park and getting a point could be the difference between staying up and going down. So is he used to teams that are going to come with 10 men behind the ball? Teams like Dundee are going to play next Wednesday. That'll be his first game. And it's like, right, okay, you've got this rave review about all this attacking football you play and this idea, this ideology you've got of the game, but you're going to have to adapt it. But I suppose, Liam, looking at it from the other side, a lot of similar things were said about Ange Postecoglou. Remember, there was a journalist that was doing the rounds on a lot of the podcasts, like Axom and stuff. I remember Russell really chewed this guy out for this one, where he was raving about, Ange Postecoglou would rather draw 4 each in a game than win 1-0, to which Russell and numerous other podcasters, it was on an episode of Axom, I can remember it, were all like, this is Celtic, like 4 each is not an option here. And there was a lot of reservations about, will Ange be able to adapt? And it took him a few games, because remember his initial start was quite rocky, to say the least. But eventually, I think he got his head around it. But yeah, Wilfred Nancy's going to have to do it right away, because we're coming in mid-season here. We are currently second, so he's going to have to adapt very, very quickly. And I just hope that teams like Dundee and Falkirk and St Mirren, all these 10 men behind the ball types of teams, are not too much a shock to his system, Liam.
Now, Phil, he's from France, right?
He is from France, yes. So it's a big football nation. So yeah. No, he's not. No.
So I mean, you have a guy coming in. I know we keep thinking, well, the MLS, like he's been in a bubble. That's another one of Ange's old quotes as well. It's like, I've not been in Mars, I've been in Australia. The difference between Ange and Nancy is, Ange watched these, kangaroo boxing at half time type of football down in Australia.
Yeah.
Right? I can say that. I've grew up in the colonies as well here. So you see all sorts of stuff, and it's not the same. once you grow up probably watching the prime of the creme de la creme of world football, that were all his generation growing up. So yeah, he'll fairly much have an idea of the difference between a European team and expectations are than the MLS. I don't think that'll be lost on him. They're not that naive out here that they all have MLS teams, but they've all got English and Spanish and Scottish teams as well.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Most people over here have two teams. The team of the city they live in, like Vancouver, and then the team you support, you really support, like Celtic.
No, definitely. But yeah, it's that you're right to point out the French thing as well, because even though he's managing in the MLS, he isn't an American. He is French, massive footballing nation, so it's not quite for him. But I say the style of play that he's been up against so far, most teams will be sitting in with 10 men behind the ball because of the structure in the MLS. There's no relegation zone, and you don't even need to finish top of your division to win the league. You can finish 8th and go through to the playoffs and stuff like that. But anyway, that's their system. So yeah, he's coming at this, and hopefully, as I say, he's able to adapt pretty quickly in his style of play. I mean, Terry said it last night. Do you want him to change too much too quickly? I mean, right now he's going to have to work with the players he's got. He could have a quick assessment of the squad and be like, right, I need to just get through to the January window. Then, of course, you're relying on the board actually getting the checkbook out. And I know I say this tentatively. You'd like to think that would be happening, given you can't really look at this squad, Liam, and go, everything's fine, given all the injuries we've got and the sort of up and down erratic form we've had this season. You'd like to think that this guy coming in, he'll get, especially with the MLS now being in the preseason, that's a market that he knows really well. Maybe that's part of their thinking. I mean, they did say in the recent meeting with the Celtic fan collective how they loved working in the Japanese East Asian market, because those countries are in the preseason when the January window comes along. So they actually enjoy working with those types of countries for the January window, even though we've been told a few times how difficult the January window is. As I've said on multiple shows now, it's only difficult when we're in a good position. When we're in a bit of a difficult position in the league, suddenly they seem to find the investment. And with the way things are right now, I'd like to think they'll be getting their checkbook out, and hopefully old Wilfred's got some good contacts over there in North America. And what do you make as well of the rumours, Liam, as well, that he's apparently, me and Terry talked about this last night, he himself has sounded out somebody for his backroom team who has experience of Celtic and Scottish football. Now, I think it'll probably just end up being Sean Maloney will be kept on, which is fine. I'm okay with Sean Maloney being part of the coaching team. I've got no issue with that at all. But some people were speculating that it might be Victor Wanyama back as a player coach. Liam, what do you make of that idea? Not player coach, but coach, rather. Big Victor, because he played at Montreal under Wilfred Nancy, and it said the report said it's a former, it was worded as a former colleague. Would you deem a player a former colleague of a manager? It's more backroom staff, but I can't think who else it would be. But yeah, they're talking about could it be Victor as a coach at his backroom team? But ultimately,
I'm just thinking the potential of Victor Wanyama, Bobby Petta night out.
Oh Jesus!
That'd be class, wouldn't it?
I wish we could get a midfielder the ilk of Victor Wanyama, though, with that brute strength in the middle of the park, because I think that's something we've lacked for a long time. A player of that description. I think it's somebody who can just bully players. But the thing is, Wanyama wasn't a hatchet man. He was big and strong, but he was also a baller of a player. And it's like, God, can we not find players like that again? There must
Who was
be.
His brother? Phil, do you remember his brother? He had a different name.
Oh, right, okay. I'll leave back my brain.
McDonald something or...
I'll need to... Somebody in the chat might come in on that one, but it's ringing a vague bell. That is ringing a very vague bell, mate. But that'd be interesting. But I say the stories are that somebody on his backroom team, whether he sounded them out himself or not, is going to have a knowledge of Celtic and Scottish football. It'll probably end up being Gavin Strachan kept on at the end of that. But no, I was quite intrigued by that rumour myself. I wonder who that could be, but yeah, we'll wait and see. But yeah, we'll get talking then, I guess, about the Hibs game coming up, because there's 15. We've been on for 45 minutes now, and I will get Massive game now. Get on to talking about that because, Hibs, they are doing all right this season. I know they lost at Motherwell through the week, but again, we look at how we played last week against St Mirren. Obviously, we had to we had to grind it out to say the least. We rode our luck a wee bit at times, but Hibs are probably a better attacking threat than St Mirren. So my worry is, if we play like that again next week, we could be in trouble against the Hibs, especially now that we've managed to claw a bit of the lead back against Hearts. We don't want to be blowing it already and, giving Hearts the initiative again. But then again, Hearts do have a difficult game this weekend. They're going to Motherwell. They're at Fir Park this weekend. I think it's on Saturday they play. And the thing about the Hibs game that stands out, obviously, is they've been a bit of a thorn in our side for the last few years, Liam. They're a ground, or Easter Road is a ground that since they came back up in 2018, they came up. They have taken points off us quite regular. I think there was a comment last night that was left on the post-match show about the last time in a league season that Celtic won 4 league games out of 4 against Hibs was in 96-97. I was stunned at that one, mate. I was like, no way, you're telling me even through the 2000s we didn't have a season where we beat Hibs in every game we played them. But in recent years, since they came back up and Lenny was their manager initially, they seem to have a real problem. Brendan Rodgers had a few problems there. Then even when Lenny took over in the COVID season, we had some bad results at Easter Road. Brendan back in. Ange had a couple of bad ones. Remember that 4-2 loss that he had where Scott Bain just threw one in the net, just after getting a fresh new contract, and he celebrated by throwing one in the net. So they can be a difficult team. They beat us last season at Easter Road in a game too. So it's after the game though in Rotterdam, you'd like to think that the mood and the buzz around the place and the momentum, plus that this is Martin O'Neill's last game. You want to go out with a bang for the guy for what he's came in and done. You've got to think that the players, will have it in them to go out and get the job done on Sunday.
I remember as well, we finished that St Mirren game with a Callum McGregor screamer. So
yeah,
the momentum shifted that at that moment as well, probably for a lot of those players whose heads were going down. And I think the captain just showed up and brought them up as well too. Obviously, it carried into the game last night, So this was momentum. You're right, and the O'Neill factor. Okay, I mean, whatever who doesn't want to hear that speech? Please, everybody, like, how do we get ears in there so that we can write this down and have it years from now on a tea towel in Bulgaria, where that's what Martin O'Neill said.
Liam, going by the way Celtic TV operate, they always have the end of season review that they do, and this one will make an interesting season. This one with the manager changes that have happened, so they might be filming things for their end of season one, because I say the last couple of years, they've always had one when Ange was in charge and then when Brendan was in charge. So I think that they're probably, as the season's going along, they are filming things and we'll see it. But of course, you'll have to pay your whatever it is, $18.99 a month, whatever it is for Celtic TV to see it behind the paywall at the end of the season when they put it online.
Anyway, I'd love to be in that room just to hear what the man had to say and what it'd be like, and knowing as well that he's fully aware that he's there to do a job and produce a result. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I think it might be the lack of sentimentality that makes whatever he says in that speech even more profound and poetic, or whatever you imagine it's going to be. Yeah, I'm interested. I want to see him go out on a high.
Yeah,
I really do. I think this has been it's been fantastic. Side direction. The board managed to. I've said it before. These guys are like Jason Voorhees for the Friday the 13th films. Just when you think they're dead, something comes and saves them again. Something shifts. Where it's like you can't ignore the feel good vibe that having Martin O'Neill the club just instantly brings to it. And that's not to diminish any of the problems people have with the board. I'm sure everybody's justified in your opinion and your take on them as well. And Probably agree with most of you as well. I think shocking. So, but yeah, you kind of know in this day and age where you're just looking for the rainbows and shit. Kermit shows up and in the form of Martin O'Neill.
No, it will be an emotional one. I mean, again, with the way things have panned out, and obviously Celtic, it's obviously nothing's official yet, but we're led to believe this is his last game, and he won't get the cup final. There was a wee bit of me, and I know we do say a lot. We said that we were on the Boise bus as well about sentimentality in Celtic. We've got to kind of wrap the whole sentimentality thing at times because sometimes it can be detrimental. But I think back to Martin O'Neill's first time and the way it ended, and the most damp squib cup final ever against Dundee United, where the mood was so flat after the way we lost the league in 2005 with the helicopter Sunday. And that Dundee United final, even though, yeah, we won it, and he did finish by getting a trophy, but I've never, like, obviously you're happy to win anything when you're Celtic, just every trophy counts, but that one just, you knew it was an end of an era, because Martin O'Neill had already said he was going. We already knew Gordon Strachan was taking over at that point as well. And it did just feel like such a flat ending. So when the way things transpired in the last few weeks, I thought if they at least give him to this cup final and he wins that, and the atmosphere and the mood around the club is, well, from a playing point of view, any better. Definitely not in terms of off the field. It's not any better. There's still boardroom members that are there now that were there in the 2005 Cup final. So, were employed by the club. But just in terms of general atmosphere, because, I just felt like that Dundee United final was so flat. Yeah, we won it, but drab game of football after losing the league. So I thought that St Mirren game, what he would have got up to the cup final, but no, it looks like he won't get that. But Terry did say it last night, and I totally agree. And it's a very good chance we go on and win the league title this season, he has to be acknowledged on the last day by being out there on the park with the players.
Well, I think the way it's going to play down is they're probably just going to make it sound like Martin O'Neill's going to sit in his a cup of tea with his family and watch the game. And then I think when we're getting presented with the trophy, all of a sudden a wee bit's going to clear on the stage. And then, like Cyan style, he's going to come jumping, leaping at the stage onto that with the brand new Celtic 2026 Christmas trackie on sale now. And then Celtic TV will just probably cut away right away as it usually does. And then we'll have to listen to Chris Boyd talk about it.
Martin O'Neill will come out about Christmas time as the Santa at half time to do the halftime windfall. He'll be Santa this year. But a couple of stories going into this game as well on Sunday. Spill the Glove has pointed this out. Grant Hanley banned for Sunday because he gets sent off against Murrow. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because Grant Hanley
he'd get football banned.
Like, I keep criticising him, but obviously he seems to do something right, because obviously he's had a bit of a decent run with Scotland recently, going to the World Cup, and he's played his part to get us there. And when Hibs came to Celtic Park the last time, they got a 0-0 draw, and he was playing that day, but apparently he is suspended. I did mention last night, I wasn't 100% sure if he was suspended or not, but he did get sent off against Motherwell, so he will miss it, because I just, again, I'm like, I know maybe he's one of these players that, even though he's big and slow, he can read the game really well, because I have seen games for Scotland where he has, like, I remember when they drew 0-0 with England at the Euros in 2021, and Raheem Sterling, who at that point was maybe at the peak of his powers, Grant Hanley absolutely pocketed him. And then, of course, there was a game this season, Scotland and Denmark, the one in Copenhagen, where Kasper Dolberg, who apparently was on the verge of signing for us, a lot of people were saying, good thing we didn't sign him, because Grant Hanley absolutely pocketed him again in that game. So it's like, Grant Hanley does something right, but according to Spill the Glove, he is suspended. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Who knows? But we'll wait and see, because I say Hibs, they'll cause us problems. Although the youngster up front, Bhoys, at the start of the season, we talked about this, me and my dad were having a chat, saying, there was all this buzz and rumour about him, maybe we were looking at him and whatnot. But ever since his wonder goal against Partizan Belgrade, he's actually been a bit quiet now. I say that tentatively, because you know what could then happen on Sunday. But for all the hype and all the brouhaha at the start of the season about Bowie, it seems to have kind of fizzled out a wee bit. But again, as I say, Hibs have they will cause us problems. They've got a track record over the last couple of years. So it'll be up to Trusty, who seems like he's like a new lease of life, and Liam Scales, who has obviously been having a pretty good couple of weeks of Liam Scales with what's been going on with him. So yeah, you'd like to think that the defence will be more than ready for anything Hibs throw at them.
Was he dyeing his hair blonde at one point? Because he looks more gingery than usual. Or was that just the calibration on the telly? Is he getting more Irish? I think he's getting more
Perhaps, maybe.
Irish. Is this also the O'Neill factor? He seems to look way more Irish right now. He's playing well within his limitations, and then the stuff that he adds. We were talking before. I think he's like, I want to see him getting up more. I want to see him do more at the corner kicks and the free kicks.
Yeah,
we've seen what he's like knocking the ball from the air and getting it down, and maybe that's something we could use as well. Rather than these free kicks, quick free kicks all the time, send one up to Scales and see if he can knock it down, and then some of our chaos merchants can get a hold of it and like a Negrum or a Dizan and screw it into the net.
Yeah, definitely. He's in the few times in recent seasons where we do tend to score from a corner. So it's very, very rare, few and far between. Liam Scales does always seem to be one of the ones getting on the end of it. He's got quite a few goals for us now, just getting a header at a corner. And yeah, we saw recently for Ireland just getting up there and winning those knock-ons, and it's like we need to utilise that more. But it just feels like football nowadays, it's all about the safe pass instead of going long and whatnot. And yeah, many times we get free kicks and we try and take a quick free kick and it just doesn't benefit us in any way. Just a case of, just let the players settle and just ping one into the box and maybe Big Scalesy can get on the end of it. But no, he's definitely got that in his game, no doubt about it. And yeah, when you're playing against teams who will sit in, especially you get that here in Scotland, then you're going to need your set pieces to be on point. And if a guy like Liam Scales is good at winning those knock-ons, then we need to look to utilise it. Now, in terms of, as I say, with the team being held together by sellotape at times, with the midfield tomorrow, do you stick with the same three that played against Feyenoord last night? Do you think we might see Nygren start, but then one of them drops out? Because Hatate had a good game as well last night. But again, much like Engels and Nygren, this is the problem. They have good games and drips and drabs, and then they go quiet again. So we need to see a real consistent run for whatever three get picked in the midfield. We know McGregor's going to play. We know that's a certainty because club captain and all that. But who would you have as partners in crime in the middle of the park there, Liam?
Paulo Bernardo.
Bernardo, yep, the forgotten man.
I think I would use Nygren in the wing that we have before and get Bernardo in there. I thought when he came on last night, he looked hungry. He looked committed. I'm thinking this boy's just needing an opportunity and a chance. I don't know what people have seen in training, but anytime, we give Reid plaudits for that goal he scored in the cup final, but he was getting nowhere near that unless Paulo Bernardo took that shot and did as well as he did. He did well to get the rebound, but the creativity came for Bernardo, and I'd love to see him get an extended run and see what he do. I think there's a talent there, and we paid a lot of money for him as well. McCowan's shown that he can show up in that wing and probably do an okay job. I thought he was good last night when they put him in the wing.
McCowan did all right, actually.
And then you got Negrum as well that you can put it there. So yeah, let's see what happens. And Engels, he had an okay game last night, but I think Paulo Bernardo's a better player, and we've not given him a chance.
It's weird with Paulo Bernardo is such a mystery because we spent most of that summer chasing him, as we do, because we were haggling over God knows how much. We got the fee down to whatever we'd actually already agreed. We'd actually already agreed this with Benfica and then haggled it down to something else with add-ons. And yeah, he's just faded out of the team over time. And it's just like the boy can't be, especially some of the things that we've seen in this team in recent times. You're like, is he that bad? Is he really that bad? When some of the performances some of the midfielders have put in. But yeah, I'd love to, that's what you're talking about being a fly on the wall. I'd love to know what's going on with Bernardo. But maybe Wilfred Nancy will be the new lease of life he needs. Again, a new manager comes in, clean slate. He could deploy him in a different way. Just coach something into him that, just ends up clicking and the boy could end up kicking on. So, yeah, that is a possibility. We'll wait and see on that one. And in terms of McCown, I thought he did play quite well last night, but he did obviously forget his shooting boots for that chance early on. But that was just hilarious how that came out. I don't know if, Liam, on the feed you were watching, what commentary you guys had, if you had North American commentary, or did you get the TNT Sport commentary on the game last night with Feyenoord?
Oh, the English guy that hates us. It was him.
Oh, right, so it was an English guy. It was Rory Hamilton and Joe Hart were doing it for TNT Sport.
No, we didn't get that one. We got the other one.
What happened was, obviously, McCown missed that chance early doors to put us one up. Obviously, we all saw the replays, and instantly we were all like, it would have been offside anyway, but it was still embarrassing that he missed it. Then, of course, we got a goal behind. And then about 20 minutes into the game, Rory Hamilton says, we've just had confirmation from the VAR team. Had McCown actually scored that, it would have been allowed because it came off a Feyenoord defender. So at that point, I said that to Terry last night, we're a goal down, we've missed a sitter, we've just found out that it would have been onside had it gone in. You were just getting that sinking feeling. You were just getting this, I've been here before with Celtic in European games. This is going to end up a bad one. But no, I say we managed to put it behind us. But hopefully, if Luke McCown finds himself in a position like that on a Sunday, he sticks it in the net this time. Because with the VAR day and age, you've just got to put it in the net because it will always get reviewed anyway. You just never know. It could have deflected off a defender and whatnot, and you end up your own side. So, yeah, hopefully he can stick it away this time if he finds himself in that position. And I've seen Ian Atchell's name coming up in the chat because obviously he travelled with the team over to Rotterdam for the game last night. He's also come back to fitness, but at the moment I wouldn't be starting him. I would maybe look to bring him on as a sub right now. I don't think he'll be ready to start a game at this stage. It would just be a case of phasing him back in. Obviously, the way he got injured was chasing down a ball that Alistair Johnson played down the wing. So I don't know if we want to be starting them right away, especially at a team like Hibs. It would be quite full pelt for early on in the game because Hibs will probably look to come out the traps flying. So I would probably stick with Dyson Maeda through the middle for now. What about yourself, Liam, in terms of the striker? Just Maeda for you?
I put Maeda through the middle, see what happens. I thought he was good. He caused a lot of bother and that. And he's got a World Cup coming up as well. And it's funny that every time we play a team that you're seeing more and more, it's not like we're the only ones that scouted Japanese players. You see them in every team now. Even the Whitecaps, their goalkeepers Japanese. It's no secret out there, and so there seems to be a lot of Japanese strikers and wingers showing up in Europe and some of the European teams. And
one scored against us last night for Feyenoord. Ueda that scored was a Japanese striker. Yep.
So anyway, I want to see Maeda. Like, all right, you better get in form, or I might not see you in the summer. So I'm looking forward to see if I can find him. And by the way, I got a text before I came on, just before we came on, Phil. Somebody said that Scotland's arranged a friendly with Canada in June.
All right, okay, right.
Can anybody check and see what it is?
Okay.
Is it Vancouver?
Interesting. No, but we'll see if when the chat pops up with it. But I don't know if that's been confirmed yet. But they'll obviously be looking to get their friends. They don't have any playoffs to play Scotland. They can get some friendlies booked in. There's an international break in March, and there's a wee window before the World Cup kicks off for any late friendlies to get a bit of fitness. So might very well be against Canada. They might even draw Canada in the group stages as well, because that's obviously coming up. I've said it before. I hope you get obviously Vancouver being one of the host cities. I hope that you end up getting the Tartan Army coming to Vancouver when the draw comes out. But yeah, that's in a few weeks' time. And I think I'm just going to quickly, and I'll probably just quickly make on Maeda before I forget it. I think he's got the best record against Hibs. I think most of his goals have came against Hibs. But he's scoring a screamer through there. Funny enough, it was typical Dyson Maeda at the time. He missed a sitter seconds before it. He headed it on the line and somehow hit the crossbar. And then a minute later, picked up the ball wide left, cut inside on his right foot and just bent it right in the top corner. And it's the duality of man when it comes to Dyson Maeda from one extreme to another. That was under Ange. That was Ange's second season, I want to say. We went through and beat Hibs pretty convincingly that night. But Maeda scored a wonder goal there. So hopefully, if he's playing, he does that again. And
Nick, sorry, Phil. You know Nick Cage, the actor, right?
Yeah.
Like he has a process, right, where he gets into a role, and what he does is the most important thing for him to get into a character is find the right haircut. And he says
Yeah.
once he's got the haircut and he's got the hairstyle and all that, and you watch any Nicolas Cage film, and you can see that it's like going to the book at the hairdressers, whatever. It's just nothing but a selection of uncanny haircuts. And I think Dizon's got that similar type thing. I think
Mm.
he has to pick what his best haircut is and just go
Yeah.
for that. When was he scoring? He should go back to the tapes. Don't watch your form and all that. Have a look at the locks. What were they?
Mm.
What were they doing? Was it the wee beard? Because whatever you were doing back then, it was working.
Yep.
This this um this Torres type Ricky Martin thing he's going for now. We already had that. Louis Palmer did that. And he did it really well, and he was
Yeah.
shite. So come on, get your hair cut together. Find out what works for you, and we'll move on to there. And I'll see you in the summer in Vancouver.
I
Japan
think we
versus
spotted
Scotland.
that last season as his hair began to grow out. He began to get better, but obviously he's still
Right.
got hair there now, and his form's a bit up and down right now. Also, breaking news: Patrick McLaughlin has said Canada v Scotland 22nd of March 2026. So there's
Where?
a but.
Does it say where?
Okay, but Smell the Gloves also saying nothing confirmed on SFA Scotland's website. So conflicting reports just now, but it looks like
Okay,
it's
okay.
happening in March in that international break because Scotland don't have any playoffs to play, so it'll be a couple of friendlies they'll get in. But it could be Canada then. We'll keep your eyes peeled for that one.
My couch, £1,000 a
Aye,
week.
Scoush is there. Aye,
That.
anybody wants
That's
it?
affordable. You'll brighten in the middle of it.
In this current climate,
Me.
that is quite affordable. Yeah, I mean, I've seen the prices, the tickets tonight. They'll talk about it in the Scottish News about some of the resale tickets for the games. Jesus Christ. Fair play if people are going to go over for it, but oh my God, the prices are obscene. But yeah, Liam's renting out his couch at a reasonable price, guys. So if you're going over and they're based in Vancouver, then get up to see Big Liam. He'll sort you out. So before we go, because that's like 10 minutes past the hour now, so we're coming up to an hour and 10. So we'll do our predictions then. Martin O'Neill's swan song, his final game as Celtic manager. How is it going to go, Liam? A resounding victory, a cagey victory. How do you think it will pan out?
5-0.
5-0, a resounding 5-0 victory. Oof, love to see it. Love to see it, man. I think it'll be I think we'll have to work for it again. I feel like we've expended a lot of energy last night. I know Hibs played through the week as well, but they've had a few extra days on us in terms of preparation. But I think, the way our team is held together right now, just motoring along as best it can. I think we'll win, but I think we're going to have to work for it, and I'll go for a 2-1 victory. It's going to be a close one, but as long as Celtic are out there with the 3 points, we have to stay in touch with Hearts here with this game coming up next weekend, next Sunday. That's going to be a blockbuster game, that one. We could potentially be going in, right on their tail, like a point behind, maybe even ahead of them. If Hearts have 2 bad results and we win against Hibs and Dundee, it could be, we could be going in ahead in that game. But either way, it's going to be touch and go with Hearts. We play them next Sunday. So, yeah, we can't. After what Martin O'Neill's done, we cannot just go and take another step back the way and drop points. We have to just make sure we keep on getting those victories on the board. And yeah, I will have to work hard for it. But I think we'll just get there in the end on Sunday. And yeah, we'll be back to talk about it. Terry, of course, will be on the old bus home. He'll be driving us back after that one, going over all the major incidents in the game. So hopefully it is a good resounding victory, as Liam says there. 5-0 he's hoping for. Let's see what some of the people in the chat are saying. We've got Jim C has said it'll be 3-1. 3-1 seems to be very in fashion right now. That score has came out a few times. Graham Tyrrell saying 3-0. He's saying, Tunecte, Dizan, and Ian Atchell to get the goal. Ian McIntosh is saying 2-0 as well. Let's see any other predictions coming in. But yeah, I'll go with 2-1. We'll grind it out and we'll get there in the end. And yeah, with the way our record has been at Easter Road in recent years, any win will do for me. But anyway, we'll head off now, folks. Hit the like button on the way out and all the other good stuff that we always talk about. And enjoy the game on Sunday. Obviously, come back and check us out then for our post-match show. I think Liam said it'll be, I think he's got to watch it on a delay, but either way, if you're subscribed, you hit the bell notification, you'll know when it goes live. You'll see it pop up in your notifications. And yeah, we shall catch then. Hopefully it's a resounding Celtic victory. Thank you to Martin O'Neill for everything he's done in this time. And yeah, the Wilfred Nancy era seems to be just around the corner, unless something dramatic happens with Celtic. You just can't rule that out at all. Because as I always keep saying, there's never a dull moment with this team. Anyway, we'll catch you later, folks. See you on the next one.